Good afternoon and welcome to Stamping Around the World video blog hop with Stamping with Margaret from the She Shed. Today I'm doing a card for this month's challenge, which is Everyday Life, and I'm quite late recording this because I was trying to bounce the ideas around in my head and I was finding it difficult to come up with a theme. But then I thought, what do I do every day in my life? And it is actually, I spend most of my time crafting. And then I thought of this paper suite. The suite is actually called, it's written here, Hobby Haven. And it's on the last chance at the moment for €10. And I remember thinking when I saw it first, the reason I bought it was because when you're asked to make personalised cards for people, it's so handy to have something like this if they're a crafter or a sewer or a knitter, whatever. If they're a book reader, and so many people in my life love books. All of these are very handy. This one is a beautiful card, even for Father's Day coming up. You could make something really nice with the armchairs and the plants for a gardener, for retirement and whatever. So, and then there's actually another one here, which is all baking. So it's really a useful set, and it came when, as far as I remember, there was a page that had all of these die cuts already just to punch out in it. But I've also fussy cut some extras for my card today. And the other thing that I will be using is the Scalloped Blossoms dies. The lovely these lovely fancy dies, so I just decided I would use them for a change. And these are two cards similar to what I'm going to make. And I saw a video by Justine Hovey online where she was doing a one layer card. Now this is nearly a one layer, but I decided with the different bits and pieces that I was putting on the card that I'd use a little bit of foam tape, because it does actually add some nice dimension. And as you see here, some of these are die cuts, or sorry, I cut out, fussy cut, because there's a very small line. Sometimes they have a large white line around them when they're pre-cut out, and what I always do is I'll come back and I'll trim it off and have a much smaller line, because I think, especially when you're doing a collage like this, it looks better. And usually I would do collages on big pieces like this, being a circle or whatever. So this is another die cut that was in the paper pack, and I just decided, I wonder, would that kind of look like a shelf or something like that? So I went with that. So what we're going to be doing is a little bit of masking and a little bit of ink blending. And I went for these two colours because they're colours that are in the papers and the few little bits and pieces that I'm using. Now I have this paper on my desk so that you won't have any glare from the glass mat, but I usually would work directly on the glass mat, but here I'm just going to line my card up with the grid on the paper, and just to make sure that I have straight lines. Now this is a post-it tape that I got a long time ago. I think I bought it on Amazon, and it's very handy for doing something like this. So I'll just cut this off. Now I line this up, try to keep my card still, and line up here with the line at the top and the line at the bottom here on the paper. And then I decide kind of how much more, because I like to have the white on either side of the inking. So I'm not quite sure, but sometimes I measure, sometimes I don't, or maybe I'll just go for it. And yes, I'm making a faff of taking this off. Okay, so I think I'm going to go that width with my foam tape, and all I'm going to do is do the ink blending on this part here. So I'll start with my pool party at the bottom and rub it off here on the page. Now I discovered when I started doing this yesterday that I really need a Pool Party re-inker. But on saying that, Stampin' Up! Came to Ireland in 2022, and I bought Pool Party, I'd say, as one of my first inks, and I actually have never re-inked that pad because I don't have a re-inker. So it'll just tell you how long that the pads actually work without having to be re-inked. Literally, I have never re-inked this pad before, so I'm just going around the edges to see if there's any extra ink on it. And sometimes when you're doing blending like this, you think, oh my God, I can't see any ink going on. But as soon as you lift away the tape, you'll see the colour difference onto your page. But I will have to be very careful with the Crisp Cantaloupe because that's a brand new ink pad and I know it's going to be very wet. So I'll have to just go very lightly with that. And I find if you hold the brush up at the top, you can get more pressure. Now I'm just building this up slowly because I do want to be able to see it, because I'm going to do a couple of things with the ink just to add to the whole look of the card. So I'll go lightly with this and I'll rub it off first before I start. I'll start at the top and meet the two in the middle. Maybe I was a bit too light. But just when I saw this being done the other day, I said, oh gosh, yeah, you know, you forget about all these different things that we learn. And, you know, sometimes you don't always have fancy papers to be making a card. But to be able to use something like this and to kind of put a bit more handmade into the card, it just makes it a bit of fun and adds a little bit of interest in the background when you're putting a cluster on the front of the card. So I think that's okay. Now, the next thing I want to do is actually do a little bit of splashing. I've just squirted that into my hand and I'm kind of going to just flick it off on here so that it gives it a chance to seep into the card. And then with a piece of kitchen roll, I am going to just dry that off. And already that gives a little bit of texture to the card. So if you're doing a few cards with this, don't use the masking tape that has ink on this side, but you can always turn it over to the other side and use it that way, you know, to get more use out of it. You can get more than one go out of it. But see what I mean about, you looked like there was very little blue was going on there, but when you peel off the masking tape, it really comes out lovely. Now for the next thing, I'm going to move this up here and hopefully you won't get too much glare from the lights, but I'll put back the white paper in a minute. I'm wetting my brush here because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a bit of ink splashing. So I'm going to rub off the blue onto my glass mat and put my brush into that, and then just do a little bit of tapping. And when you use a fan brush like this, you get very light spots. If you use a regular paintbrush like this one, you'll get, actually I'll use this one as well to show you. I just want to get it wet. A bit more blue, and we get bigger splotches with this. They're not too big, but they put a little bit of texture in the background. So I'll wipe this down and I'll go with the cantaloupe colour. You're able to see that a bit better. And just by adding just a tiny tap of water, it just helps to water down your ink. And there we have the bigger splashes. Now, if you have a shimmer spray with mica or anything like that in it, you could use that too. But I think I just liked to add that to add a little bit of interest to the background of the card. Now, when Justine Hovey was doing the card, she didn't do any of the splashes, but I think splashes sometimes can really elevate a very plain card and tie all your colour scheme together. So in the style of keeping it as a one layer card, I'm going to stick this circle just to the card because, like, I love dimension, but if somebody was to get this card and want to post it to somebody else and you have 3 or 4 different layers of foam tapes, it makes the card very expensive. And now what I'm doing with this little piece here is literally I'm going to put it down here at the bottom, coming off the center of your card, and I'm putting that there to give some dimension. And I'm going to start layering up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put tiny piece of glue in the center of everything, because I'm not quite sure where my pieces are going to go. Now this jar was cut out with one of the ephemera that came in the paper set, and the paint brushes were just lying beside it, and there was 3 of them. But what I did was I cut out the paintbrushes and put them into the pot, and I took the other paintbrush and put it into that, because somebody looking at the card mightn't realise that that's an artist's palette, and I think it gives it more life and a bit more energy when they kind of look like they're doing what they're supposed to do. So I'm going to just a little bit of ink here. I'm going to just tuck that in behind. And then the other thing, my big love is card making, but I also sew and I do scrapbooking. So I decided, oh, I'll just write scrapbook on that book, so it looks a bit more like the things that I do in my everyday life. And here's a pin cushion, and it's literally just a case of gathering all the bits and pieces and putting them together. Now this lamp also was in the kit, but it had quite a wide border on it, and I just trimmed it down to make it look a little bit neater. And I'm using it, kind of putting it up there so it gives a bit of height. And wait, let's see what I put in the coffee cup. I can I'll not stick it yet, because I like my coffee. And then I made a little card to go on the front. And I used the lovely gel pen to, yeah, I think I'll just put the card there. And I leave it kind of popping up. Now actually, I didn't use any foam tape on that, and it doesn't really need it. So I am keeping it to the one layer card. And the lovely little vignette of all the things that I like to do on the front of the card. And I'll just put a little tiny bit of glue. And this is the Tombow glue that I have in here. I've tried all sorts, and I had the Misty glue dispenser, but I used to find it kept getting clogged up on me. So I'm gone back to this with the very fine nib, and it has worked out really, really well. Now I know I do have a piece of card which has gone missing, but I'll just cut another one. course, the colour I'm using I can't find. Just give me 1 second, bear with me. Yes, this is the Crisp Cantaloupe, which is one of the new in colours, and I had very few of oranges and peaches because it's not really a colour I would use very often. So I decided I would go with it, but it goes lovely with the Lost Lagoon that's there. So I'm making a 5x7 card because you all know I love the bigger card. And you cut it to 7 and then down to 10. And I will score it at 5. Fold this over. Now there's a lip here. I don't like that on my card, so I always would run the bone folder on that. When you have a sharp blade, you can cause that. So if you butt that up to the top of your, up to this ledge, and then just score down, you'll know that you have your card scored straight. And there we go. Just glue that to the front, and you have a 1-layer card, but because of the colours and the splashes and the way everything is laid out, it looks like there could actually be more dimension on it, but it's just a completely flat card. And just put a bit of glue on that paintbrush. So don't be afraid to cut into things and change them to suit yourself. And then I'm going to cut, I think I have one here. A piece of white card, and I'll stick this down here for the inside of the card, and that is my card for everyday life. And I have no title on it, but that could be a birthday card, a hello, how are you, a thank you. And I on the other card that I made earlier, I just put the hello there on it, or you could put something along here, put it up here in the right hand corner, but I don't know who I'm going to send it to or what it's going to be used for, so I will have it as a blank card ready to go, so when I need a card, and I'll be able to send it to one of my crafty friends, hopefully. So that's my card for today. Please look below in the comments or under the video, and if you press the more button and then more a second time, you will find the link to all of the other card makers who are taking part. They are from all over the world, and we all have different interpretations on the same theme. So as I said, it's everyday life for this month, but people can make 3D projects, cards, scrapbook pages, anything, and it's always interesting to see what people come up with and what they use. And as I said, I am Stampin' with Margaret. I live in Sligo in the west of Ireland, and we would appreciate if when you're watching our videos you could like and share them, because it helps us to build our channels and to have more followers and share the joy and our little bit of knowledge that we share with you on making your cards. So I hope you have a lovely evening. Enjoy the rest of the videos. Please like and share, and tell us what you think of our cards and what you would like to see us do in the future. Bye for now.